Alright, what's going on everybody, it's Liam here, and welcome to today's video on the channel. And in today's video, I have a commentary for y'all, and we will be reviewing the new patch notes that are coming out tomorrow morning. The patch notes came from the Wizard101 Twitter account. If you want to check that out yourself, I will have a link for that in the top pinned comment if you are interested. So yeah, let's just get right into things right away. And as you can see, February 22nd, 2023. Right now, it is February 21st at the time I am recording this audio right now. So, highlights. PvP versions of the Highland gear now has updated stats. Now, a lot of people are kind of concerned what this means. What I think this means is basically if you go to this guy here, I think the Highland gear is actually going to be updated to 160. Now, the reason I think KingSaw will do this is because people do not like how everybody's running Aeon gear right now in the current meta. So if they make the Highland gear 160 and buff up the stats a bit, maybe they can compete with the Aeon gear and players will swap off some of the Aeon gear. So if they're doing that, that is really cool. Bug fix here on the last fight of Novus and a bug fix on the trap of the Tatzelworm will work now. And the most important one, if you are a PvP player or a raider, is the fact that chromatic effects are not going to be working anymore on the ramps. So you're looking at cards like Betrayal, Delusion, Reap the Whirlwind, Backfire, and Meltdown. Half of the community liked this update and the other half didn't really like this update. I think having Betrayal and Delusion as chromatic wasn't that bad in my opinion, but the problem was the buff was so powerful, a 40% buff was so powerful, that people did not want to, dual school. They just wanted to hit and convert one debuff to a buff because it was so potent, But I know there's a lot of players that did not like the idea of this, and it is being reverted. A very interesting change about this update, and probably the highlight of this entire video, is the fact that the chromatics got took off the ramps, and they're being put on the damage cards. So as you can see here, we're looking at lore spells like Keeper, Rampage, Nautilus, Catch of the Day, Cyclops, Minotaur, Snake, Kraken, Triton. I'm not sure if there's going to be more, or they just listed off a few here. I guess we'll see in the update tomorrow. So basically what this means is if you run a Keeper of the Flame on a Storm, for example, you'll do myth damage, and you'll get a 35 Storm Trap. Or if you run a Minotaur on a Fire, for example, you'll have a Minotaur myth hit, obviously, myth damage, but you will get 3 fire traps as long as your opponent has 3 shields on them when you hit, right? So I think this is a cool change to incentivize dual schooling, but the problem at hand still is the fact that you do not get enough damage, pierce, or accuracy with the pins right now. For example, many of my characters are completely kitted out here on the gear, as you can see, but I only have 130 damage and 30 pierce when the meta is about 180 damage and 50 pierce on every school. So the fact players cannot dual school the way they want to dual school is a huge issue because of the limitation of stats right now at max level. I know personally me, if my stats were better, I would be all down for this change and it would be really fun. Another thing I want to talk about at this point is the fact that shield gambits will be meta. Even in the Betrayal meta, shield gambits were still the most popular alongside with Fire Djinn, Trap Stack, obviously. So even in a meta where shields are being punished heavily and everyone is doing shield counters, players still went for shield gambits because of how powerful and the amount of tempo you get from them. Now, my worry about this update is the fact that they're going to be too good again because KingSaw simply made it harder to counter shields now. Simply, you have to spend more pips, right? And the damage you do with these cards aren't going to amount to anything because the stats are so bad. So they never touched shield gambits apparently in the patch notes here. So we'll just be back into a shield meta gambit again, unfortunately. This stuff, again, maybe if we had better stats to dual school and run this stuff, maybe it could work. But even then, as we saw in the Betrayal meta, they still go for shields because they're so easy to generate, and all you have to do is shield twice and you're ready to gambit. So I think the proper approach would have been to do this update, but then also like make tri shields 1 pip as well, Because you know that you're going backwards back into a shield meta by making shields harder to counter when they're already meta even in the shield counter meta. You know, a lot of words here, sorry. So they're basically going backwards, which again I'm not really a huge fan of, and they should have saw that, and they should have nerfed shields with this update, but they didn't. They just made shields harder to counter even when they were still really good. So we're gonna be falling back in a shield gambit meta, so I'm expecting death, myth, especially myth, and ice to be top 3 next meta. Last but not least here, we just have a couple of extra things, various animation fixes, basically quality of life stuff, which is pretty cool, and a couple of housing item lighting issues tweaked, which again is pretty cool if you are part of the housing community. But yeah, that is everything we got for the video here, guys. Kind of, you know, a small change here. I kind of expected more patch notes, you know, a lot more changes. I am cool, you know, I am thankful that the meta is going to change, you know, but I really think King Saw could have done more in terms of the meta. For example, you have cards that are banned for some schools and not banned for other schools, even though objectively speaking, they are better for other schools than the ones that literally got banned, you know. If you look at, you know, Celestial Calendar and compare that to Storm Owl, Calendar actually has a bigger damage boost than Owl did, I think by 1 or 2%. But Owl is banned and Calendar isn't, and Myth has all 4 stats right now in the meta. So I really think they missed the mark with that in regard to, you know, the overall game balance, but at least we will have a new meta to play with. I just really think we're, again, really restricted with the fact that we cannot dual school the way we want to because of the stat limitations on the pins. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like, rating, and subscribe. I do post almost every single day, if not every other day, and I stream every day at 7 p.m. Central Time over on Twitch. And yeah, without further ado, I will see you guys in the next one. Thank you for watching, and as always, take care, guys.